Great. Looks like we're on. Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land. I am Keith Stanley. I'm the Executive Director of the NWSP Partners. We're going to be checking to make sure that you can hear us. However, we are pretty excited today. I am pretty excited today to have two special guests with me. Before we get into introductions, the LISC AmeriCorp program, Local Initiative Support Corporation, and the AmeriCorp program is an amazing program by LISC and AmeriCorp, and we are grateful to the NWSP Partners to have this partnership with the Local Initiative Support Corporation and with AmeriCorp, and receiving funding from U.S. Bank. It looks like you can hear us out there, so this is pretty exciting. So with that said, we thank U.S. Bank, we thank LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation, and we thank AmeriCorp. So with that being said, let's get into some introductions. Today I'm joined by two very special guests who have done an amazing job over the past 9 months. We still got one more month to go. And I let them introduce themselves. Start with you, Barb.
Hi, I'm Barb Scotty, and I'm LISC AmeriCorp Community Engagement Coordinator with Near West Side Partners. And I also am a resident of the Near West Side in Concordia neighborhood.
Andrew.
Hello, my name is Andrew Trumbull. I'm a safety coordinator with Near West Side Partners through LISC AmeriCorp.
So, Barb, Andrew, you said a title. Let's talk about what that title means as far as roles. Barb, what is your role here at the Near West Side?
Engaging our community. Deering Davis is a community engagement specialist, and so with this program we're able to reach more people and really try and get out and get people engaged in making our neighborhood better and stronger.
Wow. And Andrew, what is your role?
So as a safety coordinator, I do work with the community prosecution unit. I play a role with the landlord compact meetings that have been going on in the Near West Side and in Avenues West before that for decades. I do a fair amount of canvassing and blight reporting, and I help coordinate cleanup efforts, all shapes and sizes.
So let's stay there for a moment, Andrew. Let's talk about some of those projects. Can you name just a couple of projects you've been involved with over the past 9 months?
Sure. Some of the projects, when I first started back in November of last year, we immediately began embarking on a campaign to get a grant from Block Build Milwaukee, which is it's done by an organization called Revitalize Milwaukee. So while training, we worked together and spent over 200 hours canvassing and engaging residents, doing research and writing a very strong grant proposal, and we ended up winning, which set the tone for the rest of the year. So this specific event has some safety connotations in that the people that are receiving the free home renovations and landscaping, a lot of the critical repairs that are done are to ensure the safety of the residents. So elderly and disabled folks that might not be able to get around as easily as they once could will have an opportunity to have these upgrades done to their houses and help them out.
You also, as far as a couple other projects you've been involved with, you mentioned this term blight reporting. Can you just mention briefly about what that means?
Sure. So I do a healthy amount of canvassing in the neighborhood. I look for things that would, I guess, could be termed as blight. So graffiti, dumping, litter, potholes, signage. I mean, you name it. If it shouldn't be there, if it's having a negative effect on the neighborhood's image, then that's something that I want to report on.
That's a good point. So Barb, some of your projects, what have you worked on over these past 9 months for the Near West Side?
I'm working with the neighborhood meeting. It's called Neon for short, and I am actually the resident MC. I also help Darian collaborate in getting that meeting coordinated. So there's a theme every month, and we put out an email prior to try and get people engaged. It's held at the Harley-Davidson University on the third Monday of every month, with dinner being served, and it's a perfect opportunity to come meet neighbors, to learn more about improving our community as a whole in Milwaukee, and all the services and programs that are available to us.
You also did something that was really exciting. You and Darian worked on our second annual movie night. Can you share a little bit about the movie night?
Yep, the movie night was second annual, and we increased our attendance.
Wow.
Quite over 100 people.
Wow, not bad.
And it was a wonderful partnership with a number of organizations, including Merrill Park.
Uh-huh.
And where some of the local nonprofits came and did some tables. We had the Milwaukee Recreation Truck brought their mobile truck to keep kids occupied, so that's a few hours prior to that event, and then we watched the movie Trolls. So it was a great night. Kids sang along, and I think that was my highlight of the
my favorite movie.
So yes, that was almost better than the movie. Was seeing the kids sing along. It was a great night.
What have you guys learned? I'm going to start with you, Andrew, again. What do you think you've learned over the past 9 months working with the Near West Side Partners in your capacity as a safety and security coordinator for the Near West Side Partners?
Well, I don't know where to begin. This has been a tremendous learning experience for me. I never really had too much experience in the nonprofit world, and coming out of this experience, the way I view a city and how it runs has changed completely. I think this has easily been one of the greatest learning experiences of my life, and moving forward, when I transition out of this role into my new one, there's just a wealth of knowledge and experience that I've been able to have here with Near West Side Partners, with Keith, who's an amazing leader, and a remarkable staff. There's no shortage of things that I'm going to take away from this, and that's a wholly a positive experience.
Barb, how about you? What do you think you've learned over the past 9 months?
Definitely agree with everything Andrew said, but also want to speak to how impressed I am with the organization and what work you've done. I've known about it, and it's always easy to say, why aren't they doing this? Why isn't this being done? And now I get it. You've done a lot of major rolling the rock up the hill, and it's starting to roll faster, and it's because of a program like LISC AmeriCorp and having the community partners, and it's continuing to build and grow and get better. So I have a whole lot of admiration for the work that's being done.
Well, I appreciate that. This insight is amazing. I'm curious as to both your successes and your challenges within this role. Barb, I want to start with you. When you talk about the work that you do in community engagements, what has been some of the successes with community engagement, and what have been some of the challenges with community engagement?
The successes are actually just meeting the people and getting every person that you can contact and have a name and a face to go with, and to be able to reach out and know they have somebody to connect with, that's what makes it so wonderful. In addition, these are truly my neighbors, and so then I've learned more about my neighborhood in 6 months than I have in 12 years. So again, going back to what I said earlier, and the challenges are just that. It's so hard to make those connections. And the block build that Andrew referred to earlier, we froze our tails off knocking on doors day after day, making phone calls, and nothing being returned, going back some more. And that's really the gist of this whole process, is the grassroots knocking on doors and meeting people. And that's what's starting to get the ball rolling.
Wow. Before we go on to you, Andrew, your successes and challenges, I'm curious when it comes to community engagement and community organizing, community outreach, Barb. Is there one thing you could share with a person that would move into your position after you're going from this position to say, here's what I think would be helpful when it comes to community organizing, community outreach? Is there one topic that you say, or one lesson you learn to say, this is valuable when you're engaging the community?
I think it's the passion. It's just that being genuine about getting one person involved, because that's what it takes. It's one person at a time, and if we keep doing one little thing, every person, think of the difference we can make. Wow. So that's what's so important, is just finding those people that and capitalizing on their time and talent, and knowing it doesn't have to take all day, all year, but one little thing can make a huge difference on the impact of our community here on the Near West Side and then the general community of Milwaukee.
Barb, thank you for the insight. Andrew, I want to go to you now about successes and challenges. What have been, as far as your role as you handle safety and security in the Near West Side, what has been your successes and what has been some of your challenges?
Well, again, with the block build, which was the start of my term here, that started out as a success. There are challenges in my kind of work. I mean, I deal with not necessarily the peaches and roses of our neighborhood, and so sometimes when I try and reach out to, let's say, a landlord that we have an issue with who has a nuisance property and don't get any response, and the nuisance is just ongoing. I mean, it can be seen as a failure, but the work that we do with the landlord compact meeting, which is a meeting that's held monthly, that I've played a pretty big role in addressing basically all the nuisance properties in the Near West Side, including multi-unit apartment buildings and businesses and even vacant properties. And so making sure that this project, this ongoing meeting is relevant and representative of which properties are at the top of the list and at the bottom. It's been a great challenge. It's been very rewarding. It's really difficult sometimes to measure success, because sometimes data doesn't exist or isn't available to be able to prove something like that. But, as part of my reporting and blight reporting and helping coordinate cleanup efforts, the vast majority of the over 1,000 reports that I filed with the city have been cleaned up. And so just knowing that it is being worked on, that there is a team effort involved, and that the community is on board, it really highlights the successes, even though, sometimes blight is a renewable resource. And so,
that's right.
Go out to one day and it looks great, and the next and it doesn't look so great. But
Andrew, let's just dive in that just a little bit, and then I want to talk about your license experience. You've reported, first of all, how many reports to the City of Milwaukee regarding blight, whether it's graffiti, tall grass, broken windows, trash, tires? How many reports have you filed in your tenure here at Near West Side?
Just about 1,200.
Wow. Would you have a breakdown, not to get too specific, what is your number one complaint?
It's garbage related. Over half of the reports are overflowing garbage, litter, dumping, mattresses, furniture, illegal dumping, things like that.
And what would you say is the response time for that cleanup?
Usually pretty good. The city-owned buildings and lots get cleaned up pretty quickly. Property owners, they don't want to get fined, and so they will typically clean up right away. Some of the issues that don't get fixed right away are sometimes when there's broken fences. Sometimes I've had to report potholes a couple times. Abandoned cars, that those can stick around for a while, but
I would say this is the time, and we don't have commercial break, but this is the time, if we had a commercial break, I would say this is brought to you by the City of Milwaukee Department of Neighborhood Services. The Near West Side Partners, we're grateful to have a great partnership with Commissioner Preston Cole and Commissioner Kassan Korban, who was Commissioner of Department of Public Works, for their just great and tremendous response and their partnership with the Near West Side. They've done some amazing work. So we appreciate that. Just want to give a shout out to the City of Milwaukee and those two commissioners doing a beautiful job for us in the Near West Side. Let's talk about briefly, you had a very unique experience at the License Committee. Any highlights would you like to share as far as being able to speak in front of our elected officials about problems within the Near West Side, and what are your takeaways from that? And we thank all our elected officials, specifically those on the License Committee, for helping us and supporting us on many of the issues we deal with in the Near West Side.
Yeah, that was an experience, that's for sure. I was nervous coming up, but I didn't know what I was to be nervous for until I went up there and experienced it firsthand. I think that the decisions to challenge the licenses that we did were right, and I think the way that we went about it was okay. We didn't necessarily communicate with some people that we should have.
That's true.
Given the time frame, we had to make decisions in minutes. You know, I was on the phone texting Keith seconds before I had to go up and make a stand.
That's right.
And you know, sometimes that's just the way it goes.
That's right.
With one of our license challenges, I had a meeting with the owner of the business, and he actually came to our landlord compact meeting. I spoke to him for about an hour afterwards. And since the challenge, he's invested thousands of dollars into his parcels, and the dramatic change in the look and feel, and not only taking care of the issue that we challenged him for, he went above and beyond to really change the landscape and the image of this very busy intersection. And so that's something that I'm very proud to have been a part of. I didn't really expect it. I mean, I still kind of don't, and I'm not sure. You know, sometimes I wonder what's going on, but it's remarkable, and sometimes all it is a conversation, and sometimes people don't know the effect that they're having with their level of investment until you tell them and you have a conversation.
Or disinvestment. I want to talk about a couple of things, Barb, with you. I'm curious, and we spoke about this earlier. Many people will come to the Near West Side, partners, and come to staff and others to say, hey, if you just did this, if you just did this one thing, sometimes I call it the magic wand. If you had the magic wand, if it was a magic wand or if it was $1 billion, if you just did this one thing, I'm curious as a resident and as now a Near West Side Partners staff member and a LISC AmeriCorp member, what is your thought on one solution? Is there one solution? Is there one solution for the Near West Side Partners that you would say if the Near West Side Partners just focus and prioritize this, everything else would come into place?
I think that's why it's so challenging. There's so many facets to make it work and get better. Money is only one piece of the pie. And yes, it can help, but then there's the people implementing it and the people being engaged and the businesses, and it's so intertwined. It's just a little cause and effect of organizations. So, $1 billion would be great, and yeah, I'm sure that would make a difference. But really what makes a difference is getting people interested in making their community better and really knowing that each one of us has a hand to play. And we here on the Near West Side are so fortunate to have the partnership and need to really embrace what they're giving us as residents and try and take it to the next level.
But that, once again, it's not a commercial break, but I think this highlights what Barb is discussing. I think it's important that we highlight our partners, and I think U.S. Bank has been an amazing partner for the Near West Side Partners for the past 2 years, and they have done some tremendous work supporting the work that we're doing. In fact, without U.S. Bank support, we wouldn't have Barb and Andrew doing the work that they're doing, and they're doing some amazing work. So shout out to U.S. Bank. There's 2 locations in the Near West Side, one on 25th in Wisconsin and the other on Marquette University's campus, and we appreciate all the support coming from U.S. Bank and the U.S. Bank family. Andrew, I have a question for you. We have a couple components when it comes to this program. We have the Near West Side Partners, which is really the parent organization that houses both of you as members. We have LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation, and we have AmeriCorp. I want to talk about the value that LISC and AmeriCorp brings when it comes to this opportunity. What do you see is the value from this opportunity to be able to serve in this capacity with the support of Local Initiative Support Corporation and LISC AmeriCorp?
Well, I guess there's a lot to this question. So, AmeriCorp in general, I think it brings the right spirit from people. It makes them want to do more. They understand their role as a servant to the public in a greater capacity than in a lot of other avenues that they might follow. And in this context, it's like an internship. You have an intern, and they might really want that job, and they might work really hard, or they might not. But from what I've seen with the AmeriCorp service members, is that they are all in it for the right reasons, and they're all very devoted and passionate about this kind of work. And so when you put that together with an organization like NWSP Partners that does a million different things in a lot of different ways, it provides an experience that, you know, you get what you put into it. And, you know, if you are really committed to the cause, then hey, there are 100 things that you can learn and you can devote your time to, and that you know will have a positive effect. And you know, that kind of experience is rare. Oftentimes you take a position and you do one role, you know what I mean? But in this role, I was very happy to be given a certain amount of creative freedom to kind of create the role that I would serve, and I think I ended up, you know, kind of riding that horse all the way to the sunset, you know, and I'm really happy to have been given that opportunity. I think I've done a lot of good work, and at the same time, I've been really humbled and honored to be part of these other projects like the block build, like the Landlord Compact, and other
the lighting challenge.
The lighting challenge.
Absolutely amazing, and I appreciate everything you have done. I mean, you guys have been amazing for this organization. We wouldn't have been able to get the stuff done that we would have liked in this past 9-10 months without your support. From block build, from movie nights. I mean, you guys are some amazing, hardworking folks, amazing folks. So with that being said, though, we may have a gap. What would you tell residents who want to get involved and who want to do the work and pick up where you guys left off? How would you frame resident engagement? I'd start with you, Barb. How would you engage residents? What would you encourage residents to do to stay involved with NWSP Partners?
Get involved at some level, whether it's just signing up for emails to know what's going on in the neighborhood. That's part of education, is part of the power. Whether you have an hour to help stuff envelopes or canvass a block or get your neighbors, just for your block only, to try and get two neighbors to the neon meeting, or to the Valete Street Gallery night, to whatever events coming up each month, because something's going on every month in this organization.
Right.
And it continues to grow with events. So there's always something new to keep your eyes on, to attend. And it doesn't mean for hours, just show up and say, hey, good job, and you can go. So time and talent, finding your little contribution, picking up a piece of trash, and then if you want to take it to the next level, go down the street, or get your neighbors more engaged with that. So there's a whole lot of ideas and suggestions that we can offer to just make a small impact. And again, the more, if we all just do one little thing, it's going to add up, and that's really what needs to happen.
I will say, Barb has been a great person to have around the office. She's very health conscious. She's has us out walking and being a lot more healthier. So we appreciate that. Some of us can use those helpful encouragement tips to be more healthy. Andrew, what would you say as far as residents? Well, what would you tell residents to encourage them to stay involved?
Well, I think echoing what Barb said, you know, a lot of times it's about having a conversation. And you know, and some residents don't know who we are, and we need people to talk about it. You know, talk about the events that are going on, talk about, you know, what's available and what isn't, and voicing your concerns. So of course, going to meetings and letting your voice be heard. You know, because sometimes in meetings, you know, we would like to see more people coming there. We'd like to see more renters coming as opposed to homeowners, and because they live here too, they work here too, and they're part of this fabric of the neighborhood. And so getting more people involved in more meaningful ways is, of course, a great way to do it. Obviously, if you have, you know, community centers and things that attract these groups of people, it makes it a lot easier. And until that's there, then, you know, well, we need to know that you want it there, and then we can kind of start working towards it. From a safety perspective, it's kind of similar. I mean, vigilance is key. Reporting crimes and reporting blight is the only real effective way to get something done about it. Because if you see something, let's say you hit a pothole every day home from work, you complain about it, you might even complain about it to other people, but that doesn't do anything unless you actually report it. So you can call the city or go on the website and just report it, and then it'll get taken care of. The same way with crime. If you see suspicious activity, if you see people looking into cars and stuff, if you don't call the police and report it, even though they might not necessarily come or they might not necessarily need to come, but it's a log, and that's data. And then when you look at all the data and look at trends and things like that, it's very, very critical to have these kind of reports. Otherwise, nothing's going to get done. So vigilance and communication is really what it's all about.
Wow. That is truly insightful. I mean, this is stuff that I'm always fascinated about, Andrew and Barb, and you guys have, once again, an amazing job. Before I wrap this up, I'm hoping that we have our community outreach person come back and be able to and shut down the camera. But while we're waiting for that, I want to reiterate just a few things. One, we appreciate the partnership with LISC. LISC has been an amazing partner. I want to make sure I emphasize for people who don't know, LISC, Local Initiatives Support Corporation. They're a supporter of nonprofits and nonprofit development throughout the country, 35 locations throughout the country, a lot of times in major cities, and they're doing some great work. And we appreciate Donzia, Bess, Sakari, the whole entire team. You guys are absolutely amazing. We thank you for supporting us. I also want to say thanks to AmeriCorp. AmeriCorp is just a great program. We had the opportunity to meet Congresswoman Gwen Moore, who swore everybody in. It was just an amazing opportunity to see the LISC AmeriCorp people coming together and work for these different agencies across the city. And so we appreciate that. And finally, we want to say thanks, big thanks to U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank, you have been, once again, a tremendous partner. Without your support, these two wonderful individuals wouldn't be here. And so with that said, we wrap it up. We thank everyone. I think want to give a big shout out to Darian Davis, who helped us put together with the videography of this video. I want to thank all the NWSP partner staff for the wonderful work they're doing. And we will have more of these in the future. So please watch our calendar and our Facebook page, because we want to give more insight into work that we're doing in the NWSP partners. So hopefully this video may not get as many views now, but we're hoping that at some point you can sit down and check out to hear what the great work that Barb and Andrew has done and will continue to do until I think your last day is September 15th. And so we appreciate that support. With that, we're signing off. I'm Keith Stanley, the Executive Director of the NWSP Partners, and thank you for watching today.